Hey guys, it's Karina with Karina Loves to Plan. Welcome back to my channel. I have here a package that just arrived today, and I don't know whether I want to do this as just, you know, my first impressions or if I want to do a full review on it, but I'm really excited to show you guys what's in here. I'm already unboxing it as I'm taking it out, but this is how it arrived, and I don't think this is the official box that it comes in, but this is my first vintage fountain pen. All right, let's get started. Okay, so you're probably thinking, Karina, I didn't know you were into vintage fountain pens, and to be perfectly honest, I didn't know I was into vintage fountain pens, but after receiving my very first Pelikan M400 and also seeing how lovely that wrote, but also seeing how Alicia of Adventure Denali loved all of the vintage pens, I decided to, I don't know, make the leap into vintage. And I don't think I want to make a ton of leaps into the vintage fountain pens, but I just really wanted to give this a try. And plus it was at a price point that I thought, you know what, for a gold nib at this price point, I can't argue too much. So I'm talking a lot here because I don't know how to open it. Oh, interesting. Okay. So, oh wow. There it is. It is the Pelikan 140. Move this out of the way here and I'll zoom in here. So this is the Pelikan 140. I bought this used over eBay. It is a beautiful pen, but you can see that there are some imperfections on it. I mean, there's some scratches along the clip and the band, and you've got like the old Pelikan logo on the top of the cap there. The design of it is, you know, the vintage cigar type of shape, and it is a piston fill pen, so it is also a screw cap. And then you've got the gold 14K nib here. Let me zoom into that. So this is an extra fine 14K nib, and I'm excited to try this out, but look at that feed. Look at the difference in that feed. And this pen is a piston filler, and there's a bit of translucency in the body, so I'm really excited to see how this works out. But also, these nibs from the vintage pens, I believe this is anywhere from the 1950s to the 1960s, but these nibs have a little bit of flex in them, so let me ink this up and we'll give this a try. Now before I ink it up, I've actually just gone ahead and cleaned that out and rinsed it out, but I just want to show you guys the sizing of it compared to the M400. So it looks like it is a smaller pen than the M400. Well, no, pretty much about the same. But then uncapped, I always hate doing the uncapping because it's always going to roll away on me. Uncapped, are they about the same size? The 140 is a tad shorter, but they both have a 14K nib. The difference is that with the M400 you've got that two-toned nib, whereas this one is just the gold. And you can see as well that the nib is smaller. Let's bring this in closer. You can see here that the nib on the 140 is smaller than the nib on the Pelikan M400. So I'm excited to try and ink this up and see how it writes. So I'm going to go ahead and ink this up with Rohr and Klingner Alt Gold Grün. And I think it is fitting because one, it's green, but two, the name itself means, you know, old green, old golden green. So it is a piston filler, so I'm placing that right in there and making sure that the piston is all the way down. And I don't want to fill it all the way up actually because I don't really need a ton of ink, but from what I've heard, this has really, really great ink capacity. Okay, so let's wipe the nib off here, and then let's grab my notebook here. Okay, so I didn't even tell you guys how it felt in the hand, but I mean, it looks like it's a pretty short pen in the hand, so I probably will post it, and it does post quite nicely. It is a lighter pen, and I think that once it's posted, it feels really, really nice. So this is, oh my gosh, I'm so excited. The Pelikan. It's a very wet and smooth nib. 140. I need to put a pencil board behind that so that I can. Oh wow, goodness gracious. And there is a bit of flex on this nib as well, so I want to just, oh look at that. It's not like a ton of flex, but there's a little flex in there. And this is in the extra fine. It feels just like my Pelikan M400, but it is a little softer in the nib, so it currently has, look at how wet that is, and cleaner. Gold Grün, and it does have feedback, so it's not glassy smooth like the like any of my Pilot nibs, but it's soft. It's a soft nib that when you push down on it, there is a little bit of line variation. Not a ton, but you can feel how soft this nib is. So let's write the usual sentence here. What is the sentence? And there's, oh, I love that flex. It's not so much that it's off-putting, it's enough that you can still get a lot of daily writing done. So what about some just regular fast writing? Very smooth, very, very wet. And it's very smooth with just the right amount of feedback. And let's try that flex again. Look at that. Beautiful. Oh my goodness. And I mean, look at just how much ink that is putting down. So much ink. Oh my goodness. I am really liking that. So let's move the writing sample out of the way. So my first impressions of my very first vintage fountain pen. It is beautiful. I mean, it does look like it has some wear. There's a little bit of, I guess, some scratches on it, and the word Pelikan on the band looks like it has worn down a little bit, which is to be expected. This is something from the 1950s or the 1960s, so I don't expect it to be in mint condition like my Pelikan M400. But you know, there's something to be said about preserving history, and there's a whole I don't want to say, is it culture or is it niche? There's a whole niche found in vintage fountain pens, and the reason that I wanted to try this out or to purchase it was really fountain pens have been around for such a long time, and I wanted to experience some of that history. It's such a gorgeous pen, and actually compared to the price of the M400, this was probably about a quarter of the price of the M400, and I love the look of it. You can tell that it is definitely, there's the differences in that you know, with the M400, you've got the double band on the cap, and there is the gold at the top of the cap. The clip actually looks very, very similar. It hasn't changed too much over the years. I mean, this part of the clip is a little bit narrower on the 140, and then this part down the middle of the clip is longer on the M400. You know, there's no gold band on this part of the 140, while there's two here on the M400. And you know, it's rounded on the 140. And obviously over the years, the materials are definitely going to be different. But from what I've read about the 140, it was quite the workhorse of a pen back in the 50s and 60s, and there are some people who use only very specific inks in here, while some people say if it's lasted this long through, you know, all of the 50s and 60s through different types of inks, it could last with almost any ink. I'm gonna play it safe with the types of inks that I place in here. I'm just excited to play with this pen. So I know I just posted my currently inked, so this is going to get added to that. Oh, I'm just so excited to have my very first vintage fountain pen. What are your thoughts on the whole vintage fountain pen niche? Is it something that you want to get into, or is it something that you're already into? What are some vintage fountain pens that, you know, that are on your list or wish list? And what is it that prevents you from buying a vintage fountain pen, or what is it that wants you to, I can't even phrase it properly. Why would you want to buy a vintage fountain pen? So leave all of those comments and your feedback down below. I am just, whenever I get a new pen, and I'm still such a newbie to a fountain pen, so I am not the best when it comes to any types of reviews or anything. Really, when it comes to a pen, it's more like, how do I feel about it? How is the writing experience for me? And is it pretty? Is it pretty? So I'm just so excited to be adding this to my collection. Alright, but that is it for me. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you have any questions, please leave them in the comments below. If you like this video, please leave me a thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe. Thanks for watching and have a great day.